welcome to another wonderful Friday night here on Cosmic Blueprints. I'm the host of Outside the Box Kid of Gaia with Tony on board here with the helm with his show Cosmic Blueprints, and we just got him on the board, so I just ran the intro myself here, and it looks like we have Peter as well, and we have Tony, myself, just waiting for Santo, and I know Marcus has joined us as well. But Kevin Annett he's the man of this show tonight. We're gonna let Kevin just fill you all in on a lot of stuff that's going on, and I know there are many thousands of you listening right now, and this is our turn to make the difference in the same way that people like Kevin have. I wouldn't say to the same extreme, but not everyone's ready to take on the dragon, But I know Kevin was and is and does. That's just what he does. So, Kevin, how are you doing?
I'm doing fine, Kate. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, anytime. You know that. You've always had an open door with me, always.
Yeah, I'm sorry I haven't taken advantage of it more. I've just been very busy, as you know.
Oh, absolutely. Now, hey, and again, this is the thing. We're all doing our thing, and that's the reason why the door is always open, so that when you're ready and that the time is right. Oh, here you are. Look at that. We're here together now.
Yep. Here we go. Yep.
So, Tony, say hi, and Peter, I just want to make sure that's you on the call. I'm pretty sure it is.
It's my clone.
Oh, it's your clone again. Okay. All right.
Had that clone stuff, hasn't
he? Uh-huh. Anyway, so Tony, take the helm. I'm going to sit back, and I don't worry. Kevin and I have talked a couple of times in the past, so we're all in good hands here. So I'm going to let you. Hey, it's your ship tonight, man. I'm just hanging out. Enjoying the break.
It's all right, Kate. No problem at all. Talk your sticks. You're always welcome to run away with it. It's no problem at all. In fact, I prefer that sometimes, but there you go. All good. So, hello, Kevin. You've been doing some great work, mate. I've been following you, Red Eyes, lots of different shows you've been on. How's it going?
It's going amazingly. We're at a crossroads, as a lot of people know. It's a crossroads in our whole planet, and we know that this information, it isn't just information anymore. It's a doorway for a lot of us to realize that we can leave the old world. We don't have to be part of this genocidal mess anymore, and the system that continues to feed off the suffering and killing of children. And so, when we've been posting the evidence of genocide in Canada, it's the first case in our common law court docket, the more that we put that stuff up, the more people come to me with not just stories, but ways that they are changing their reality. To give an example, I was in Vancouver a few days ago, and a group of Native people there have gotten together and said, now this is the time to enforce our expulsion verdict on these churches. 4 years ago, they told these churches responsible for the genocide to get off their land. They're going to go ahead now and enforce it. They've got teams of people that are going to go into these churches and boot out. They're going to start with the Catholic Church. But they're going to literally evict these people and take over the premises and say it's time to start doing this, to take action. We know what the evidence is. We know what the problem is. Now the question is, what do we do about it? And I'm just elated when I hear things like this, because this is the whole purpose of what we're doing. It isn't just to share information. It's to change our world and take back what's been taken from all of us. So I'm just really happy by what's going on.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, though, it's happening on all these different fronts. It's happening on law, religion, Oh, wow, yeah. Sciences, technologies, hidden information, esoteric, all sorts of stuff. And it's beautiful.
It's true. It's like watching a real renaissance happening. And people, it's easy to get caught up in a lot of the shit that's thrown at us, the misinformation and the lies. It's almost like there's all this stuff trying to stop us from going through that door, trying to pull down our spirits and our consciousness to a very petty level, and we can't do that. We've got to just keep moving through that door together, the ones who are going to go through, and hold each other up in that and stay very focused on what's true and on ourselves and our own light. So I'm more aware of that all the time, especially since I've been at the receiving end of more and more of this stuff. I just realize that it's mostly illusory, and all they have left is enormous lies, and that's all that you have when you're a guilty party. In court, you have to create lies and undermine the evidence and the witnesses, and that's what they're trying to do, but it's not working.
No, this is it. From my own perspective, what I've found is that once you actually realise, hang on, there is You just might pick one little bit, like there might be something wrong with what they're really telling us about politics or what they're really telling us about pharmaceuticals. And as soon as you latch onto one or two of those, you go, hang on, I can see a pattern here. And then you really start getting down and digging deep and bringing out the truth.
Yeah, for sure.
So carry on.
Yeah, I was just gonna jump in there. There's a lot of stuff going on right now. Just from my perspective, as far as where I'm sitting here and the things that you've been saying, Kevin, it's the resonance is incredible. Illusions are falling down around them, and that's basically what we've had to overcome, the illusions of the system, and the only way they can control us is through fear, intimidation, and you name it, any manner of nonsense. I mean, that process of the fear and intimidation, it woke a lot of us up. Some more so earlier, but more and more the people are waking up. And that's why more and more what you're doing, what we're all doing, is playing a critical role in getting those that are, the ones that like to sleep in really late on Saturday morning, they're starting to wake up now. And that's why what's going on is so critical. And it's also key and instrumental to a level that I'm going to do a whole show on this very shortly, the key that you're doing this stuff in Ireland as well is more critical than you could ever have dreamed, and all these pieces are coming together in such beautiful style right now. I'm just sitting back watching the most beautiful panorama of truth. So it's all things for a reason, and it's beautiful. Just wanted you to know that. It's stunning.
Well, thanks, Kate. No, it's really true, and what the strength of what we're doing, putting this in the format of a common law court, is we're telling everybody that we are the law, we are the court. We have 58 sworn citizen jurors who are going to come to a verdict, and that's powerful. That's the people making a pronouncement on the history of this genocide by these churches, their links to Big Pharma, their history of stealing land and continuing child trafficking all over the world. We have the power to do that when the courts are clearly colluding in all of this stuff, the so-called, normal courts are doing their best to conceal this, and we've got examples of that all over the world. So it's a very powerful tool, and it's not something we're just doing on our own. Anybody can take this step, and that's what we try to encourage.
That's right. It's an open class action, I believe, isn't it, Kevin?
Exactly. It's only the first. This is a work in progress. It's only the first attempt, but we're hoping others will pick up the ball and carry it.
Well, I can share something with you that I sent out to a few people today that I got. Dean Clifford is in the process of taking 2 RCMP cops to task. I managed to get the charges on them and stuck, and also locate their bonds, and he's got a lot of other things that are going on. But I believe it's November 21st that an RCMP is it's going to court, and it's going to be a private prosecution within their system. So it's working within and without. So that's what I'm saying. The nails are getting hammered everywhere, and they've got no breathing room left anymore, and they know it.
That's true. Yeah.
That's the point, especially when we've uncovered their own system and how that's used against us. And it's their system, as Kate says, the Roman maxim said, let those who make the laws abide by the laws. It's beautiful.
Right. Yeah, one of the things we did too, which was really important, is we issued a letter, and we're going to send it out again to the police in all these countries, saying your public servants that you should be enforcing these verdicts and not collude with these criminal agencies. And so we're really asking them to choose what side they're on. You're either going to serve the people in real lawfulness, or you're going to continue to collude with these agencies. Like whenever we show up outside churches and the police stand there protecting the church, I make a point of going over and talking to these cops and saying, do you know who you're protecting or what you're protecting? Do you know the legacy? I gave them information, say, you're a human being, read this stuff. What would you do if this happened to your children? And so, they either look away in embarrassment or look sympathetic, but I know that their position doesn't allow them to respond in that moment. But it's in there. It's working. We're winning the battle of hearts and minds, and I think that's why they're resorting to these underhanded methods to try to destroy what we're doing. But it's, like I say, it's not working. We are gaining the moral high ground all the time on this stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Seed planting 101, Kevin, that's exactly what we're all doing now. And it's planting the seed, the idea. And This is why I'm telling people to stand back and breathe. Plant the seed. Don't expect an oak tree tomorrow. But I'll tell you, once the seed's planted, it'll grow.
Yep. Yeah, for
Absolutely.
sure.
Yeah.
Well, they're getting caught. They're caught up on so many levels now. I mean, the blatant crap they're pulling now. They've really been found out. They know they've been found out, and they're scared poopless. And in order to instigate and keep the ball rolling, they continue to collude and really even show how much more nastier and corrupt they are, where it becomes totally obvious to the all-seeing eye of even the sheeple, the people who have been asleep, because they've literally gone beyond the bow to break the backs of the masses, or try to, and now they're not even hiding it. They're directing your face, and now the ones that have been sort of asleep have actually started waking up and just saying, this is insane. Yeah, the more obvious they become, the more blatant they do this nefarious crap. They're getting the memo, and they're not going to be able to run and hide. And when their useful purpose is done, they'll be taken care of as well.
Totally.
So.
That's it. And there's a whole list of people following that. But, this is the thing. You stand in the police, for example, I keep on referring to this because it's so blooming true. The police are putting their children into vaccination programs. They're getting jabbed full of all this stuff. The tetramasks are actually giving all the officers cancer and their families and all the rest of it. The nuclear power stations that are kicking out all this crap that are getting detonated, they built all these nuclear fault lines, all these plants on top of the fault lines and stored the spent fuel on top. Do you think that's going to be non-biased towards police officers or something? I mean, wake up. It's your world, you reckon, as well as ours.
Yeah. Their environment they're destroying, like all these idiots spraying our skies and stuff like that. You got to come back to Earth and walk in the pasture yourself there, brother. So what you're doing to us, you're doing to yourself as well. You think you're going to escape? I mean, that's about how ignorant they are. I mean, literally, it's they're pooping in their own punch bowl, literally. And you know what? You're going to get E. coli poisoning along with everybody else.
Well, absolutely. Like you say, we do. Chemtrails and everything else. But so, Kevin, what's the next move? What's the news on the program for us? What can you tell us that's happening new?
Well, if people, first of all, I should mention, if you want to follow the court proceedings on all the evidence we're putting up online, our main website is www.itccs.org, itccs.org, and the first set of evidence about genocide in Canada we put up there November 5th. We anticipate by the end of November there'll be the next bunch of evidence. That'll complete the first case. We're then going to, once again, give the defendants the chance to respond. If the churches or governments, the 32 people who we subpoenaed, including the Pope, the Queen of England, Prime Minister of Canada, they have a chance to respond at that point to any evidence. And depending on the response or lack of it, we'll then say to the jurors, render a decision, however long that takes. We anticipate probably by the new year there'll be a verdict coming down. And at that point, we have a choice to make. We can either proceed with the next round of cases, or we can say to people, okay, let's start a discussion. What kind of enforcement are we talking about? What kind of community sentencing? Like in Ireland, they're talking about arresting known child raping priests, citizens' arrests, expelling these people from their communities. There's any number of things that people can do to actually enforce these sentences. So, I mean, this is the next stage we're going to be talking about, that kind of enactment. The next round of cases, though, in the new year, we're going to be looking at the evidence we have about the links between big pharmaceutical companies and these churches, the whole century-long history of trying out experimental drugs on children in many different institutions. We've got a lot of evidence of that, how it carries on today. And so that'll be kind of the focus in the new year. But again, this is all linked to all of this stuff, and it's really gratifying. When I was over in Europe a couple of months ago, we've got commitments from people there in Holland, in Italy, in England even, to carry this further, and even to try to get their own courts to render a verdict. In Spain, they have the power to issue universal arrest warrants against, on human rights cases. So we're looking at many different avenues. Like you say, we're working from within and without. And, you can literally see the whole tower beginning to shake and crumble. There's even a faction within the Vatican now of cardinals that are trying to throw out the Pope because they're worried about all this stuff. So, we're really happy about the way this whole thing is proceeding.
Yeah, excellent. Would that be the black Pope or the white Pope?
Or the gray, or the red.
Well,
no, it's yeah. I'm sorry, go ahead, Kevin. Yeah.
Well, I was just going to say these guys are masks mostly. The ones you see are not the ones really operating the whole thing. So I think that Ratzinger, Pope Benedict, was meant to be a scapegoat for a lot of this stuff. That the real people implicated are behind the scenes. Like that butler they set up to take the fall for it was really several cardinals who released that information to the Italian press, and it involves the Vatican Bank in a big way and their financial misdeeds and everything. So we keep following the money. We even have sources in the Vatican who have been giving us information about the Vatican Bank and what's been going on. So all that's going to be coming out in the new year.
That sounds wonderful. There's a lot of papers in the
Hi,
Vatican.
this is Maria Janet.
Yeah, go ahead, Maria.
Can you, Kevin, are you getting any of your judgments recognized by the establishment?
As in, you mean the courts, other courts in different countries?
Any courts or public servants, or, a lot of times they will answer you with silence, which is an offer of silence. If you do not identify that as an offer and deal with it upon proof of claim, then they're silently taking notice, whether it's judicial or otherwise, of the 5th, 6th, and 7th Amendment, at least here in the United States, which is the amendments against self-implication,
right?
Self-incrimination. And if you don't identify that all of those offers of silence convert to a nil dicet judgment as their agreement to all the terms and conditions of a nil dicet judgment without recourse, they're going to continue to treat you with silence. But if you identify it, then you're able to go forward and you will have an actionable judgment that is valid worldwide.
Right. Well, that's a very good point. In fact, what I was told by the legal people I met with in Brussels when I was over in Europe was that, in fact, what you're talking about is something that they're framing and they're going to be presenting after the initial argument is put forward in this first case. So I'm actually glad you raised that, because we are documenting all of their non-responses. Of the 32 summonses that were sent out, there was only one response. And it was from a official called John Malloy. He's a researcher for this whitewash the government set up in Canada called the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. And he made threats and that kind of thing. But none of the other main people responded formally, although we do know that they're really concerned. We know that from a source inside the Home Office in London, England, who told me about their plan to arrest me when I returned to England. So yeah, that's a very good point. And in fact, I would like to have a whole show sometime where we just talk about that aspect of it, because it's really important for people to have all that information.
Also,
what night
are
do you want?
Aware? Also, are you aware that whenever there's a change in the so-called quote-unquote government, that Obama was just reelected here in the States, whatever you're doing needs to be, solidified by the 31st of December, because on the 1st of January, he's going to seat 2 additional judges, and the entire tenure here in the States will change, and all of the case law up to that point is thrown out, but nobody knows it.
Interesting.
So you have to start all over from square one.
Well, in the first case, of course, we're dealing with... It is, yeah. The first case is dealing with Canada specifically. The stuff involved in the U.S. is going to be in the new year anyway, but that's all very helpful, yeah, very interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so cases or concepts or theories that you're relying on after the first of the year, they're not valid. And unless you do a bunch of additional research and bring forth that information on the change that the governments do every 4 years or whenever they hold elections or whatever, anybody new, anything changing changes that reliance. And so if you go and use that in the wrong venue, not as a living person, you kind of shoot yourself in the foot. So just keep that in mind. I just learned that this week, and it just kind of blew me over and explained why we all get 12B6 here in the States, and what that really meant. So it just really kind of blew me away.
Yeah, something else.
It is true. They've always got one system of law for the rest of us and one for themselves, and I don't think that'll change.
Oh, yeah, well, that's what we're doing right now.
Well, I meant, in their system it won't change.
In their system. Oh, no, we're going to crash it. No worries. That's what we're doing. You haven't met Peter yet, have you? Peter?
Hello.
He's gonna be your new best friend, okay? I promise.
I like to choose one right about now.
Well, you got a whole bunch of them here. So, and Marcus, welcome back to the room. By the way, I can see you. If you want to mute your mic, if you want to ask Kevin questions, feel free. I've got your mic hot on this end. Just mute it on Skype. Anyway, yeah. So, go ahead, introduce yourself, Peter or Kevin. You got a whole family here now.
Okay. How you doing there, Kevin? Yeah, I've been following you. I like what you're standing for, because these are soulless entities. Yep, the black, nefarious hearts of the underworld. These people have lost their ever-loving minds, and I'm creating a new paradigm for the clowns at the circus. They're going to really love it because, you know what? Because I can. We know about the cookie jars, we know how they're getting rated, and we know how to make parties accountable on a whole new level. I'm going to make sure I shut all the doors and windows so no cockroaches can get out the back door or the front door. So this is going to be an exciting time, and we're not warring. We're just going in love and harmony, and we're ready to settle stuff on a whole different level. And, of course, that's Brother Mike, and I just had to dump him. He didn't get the memo. He knows I do the 7 to 9. Anyways, you'll be made aware of what's coming down here very shortly. I don't want to play my cards on the table here, so but it's fixing to get very, very interesting because they've been basically doing sleight of hand from the very beginning, and now the sleight of hand is going to go away. We got a new card game, so it's going to get very, very interesting, and you'll be, I'm sure, catching wind of it as we progress forward, because they are on a whole different paradigm, and we're gonna play a different game. They didn't get the memo. It's a different memo. It's a different game, and they're literally they're gonna be caught dead to rights. I create catch-22 issues, so I'm not gonna be leaving a lot of wiggle room for the clowns at the circus, and that's all they are. They're all bad actors. They're not real government. They're just bad actors. But the bad actors still are going to be held accountable on a different level here. And like I say, they've been beating the brakes off their brothers and sisters with their nefarious acts now for, thousands of years. I mean, there's nothing new in Rome. This craft's been going on for thousands of years. They think with their hubris, the way they operate, they think that the party's going to go on forever. Yeah, well, they haven't got the memo, literally. And I say the memo because I was in the military for 10 years, and there's not going to be any Laws rockets or C4 or whatever, no SEAL team ops or anything like that. This is wit, and this is words, and we're going to hold them. We're going to switch the tables to the other side of the counter because they still have to operate in that capacity, and so there's going to be some speed bumps, but we're not going to be the speed bumps. They're going to be the speed bumps. Like I say, I can't play my hand here on the call tonight, but let it be known we're really, really working on it, and it will be an effective tool because like I say, when I create something, I'm going to create a catch-22. They're screwed either way, and I like those odds. So there's no 50-50. It's going to be 100% down the middle, because they're going to either handle it correctly or they're going to be made accountable on a different level, and they're not going to be able to get out of it. So that's the way I play. So because I'm sick and tired of this crap. That's all it is. It's just about the money, just about the lucre. It's all about the bonds. Nobody's supposed to know this stuff. Well, hey, we're going to pull back the curtain and see nothing but a naked scumbag behind there, and he's going to be caught with his pants down in a different way. What they're doing to our brothers, sisters, our children under all these systems, because it all ties in one parallel or another, from big pharma, FDA, big medical, energy. They're all these whores. That's why they call it commerce. It's nothing but intercourse. Well, they're going to get a little intercourse right back on a different level. So anyway,
yeah. Pete, you're in power, man. Thank you so much. Just to put it into an analogy form, imagine you, the living, walking into the graveyard and going, "Come on, bring it on." And that's what we're talking about turning the tables. You see, it's very hard for the dead to take on the living, and that's where we are now. And this is the game that we've unfolded. And now it's a different game that Peter is referring to. We just have the way to do it. So it's Kevin, your timing is exceptional. But I really, really want to share some of the stuff with the people, because we've got lots of listeners that have maybe never heard of your work. I have talked of it in the past, but I'd really like them to hear it from your voice. And we'll let people know. I've known Kevin for about 4.5 years now?
Something like that,
yeah. You were on the air with me tons of times on FM radio. And
we lost. We met in Brantford, actually.
Yes, we did.
At the dig, yeah.
Yeah. I was there.
Well, the best intro for people is to go to our original site, hiddennolonger.com. All my research is up online there, including our film Unrepentant, was a documentary film from 5 years ago now, about these genocidal acts in the residential schools and the Indian hospitals. So hiddennolonger.com, as well as itccs.org. Those are the two main sites. We're talking not just the death of 50,000 or more children over a century, but we're talking about every crime that's ever been defined as genocide by international law anywhere. Went on regularly, systematically till 1996 in these Indian boarding schools in Canada. But they're carrying on today, and we're showing how that's happened. I think that people realize that under international law, when you know of a crime, you then have an obligation. It even says it in their law. It's
called misprision of a felony.
Right. Well, Rome Statute of the International Criminal Court says that if you know a government has committed a crime, you're obligated not to pay them taxes. You're obligated not to support them. And that's the choice facing everyone in the world, but especially Canadians. They know that their tax money is funding the cover-up and continued criminal acts. And so at that point, you have to decide, am I going to collude with the crime, or I'm going to be part of the thing that undoes it? And that's the line in the sand now that faces everybody. Once you have information, you can't deny it. You don't have the excuse of ignorance. A lack of knowledge of the law is not a defense, under any legal system. So the facts are out there. The law is known. People now have an obligation to act on it, and you first have that obligation to inform yourself. And so just go to that hiddennolonger.com. We, to give an example of what the evidence we posted, we've had extensive proof for a long time of these sterilization clinics that operated. Any Indian who wouldn't speak English or who wouldn't become a Christian were slated for sterilization. If you got high marks in these Indian schools as a kid, you were sterilized. If you spoke back, you were sterilized. This was out and out, attempt to stop a group from breeding. That's basic to any definition of genocide. This went on in Catholic and Protestant Indian hospitals. Right here on the coast, a mile from where I'm sitting, went on in the Nanaimo Indian Hospital right up to the 1980s. So, these I could fill your ear for hours with this, the brutal truth, and how right today in the Vancouver Club, Native kids are still being brought in and traded, passed around like, as one of the people there said, the kids there are passed around like a fine old bottle of wine by these top judges and corporate types, church lawyers. It's going on as we speak, and it's not knowing about it. It's everybody knows about it, but they just think they can turn away and not acknowledge it anymore. But that's not possible. So all of that is something that needs to be shared. So I just urge everybody to do the education and then just pass it on, and it's what we need to carry forward.
Oh, exactly, and that's one of the key things that people can do. And we've been talking about baby steps for quite a while now, where people, by omission or commission of a crime, you're guilty or not. You're innocent or guilty. And this is one of the things that people really need to get through. And the fact that you're hearing what we're talking about tonight is giving you the information that now you are aware of it. You have the obligation, of course, to check with due diligence that what we're saying is indeed fact. Do your homework. And with that knowledge, you now have, sorry to say it, guys, you now have culpability in helping us stop it. And you can do that very simply by, stop paying taxes. And that can begin at your local corner store to say, no, I don't. And I've done it. And guys, all you have to say is, no, I'm tax exempt. And it works.
Well, hey, gentlemen, here's another issue that nobody even talks about, because I uncovered this many years back. All these corporate entities that work, let's say, in the state of Virginia or state of Tennessee, it doesn't matter. They're the ones for the right of doing business in that state that was supposed to eat the tax, not the individual purchasing from the store. That's another scam that they double dipped on. They passed it on to the masses. I mean, this is really some pretty insane stuff. But nobody looks beyond the pale, because the corporation for the right to do business in the state is liable for the tax, not the individual who's purchasing from the store. But since nobody reads nothing, nobody knows nothing, I can prove this. I have documentation on it. But because they got everybody looking the other way, it's the ostrich syndrome, ignorance is bliss, and this is where we're at, folks. So everybody's actually funding their own demise. Like I say, if you go to your Wally World, your Walmart, you're not supposed to be eating that 6% tax or whatever the dollar amount is, whatever the state sales tax is. The entity doing business in the state's supposed to eat it. So what they do is collect it from you as the source, sort of like the gas tax and all the other taxes. So they've really... when the sheep are dead asleep and the synapses in the brains don't actually work because they're acidic in body and mind, the brain synapses don't work, so they don't think beyond the pale in any way, shape, or form. Because, but that's where we're at in the world. Everybody's falling asleep on a whole different level.
Yeah, only the dead pay taxes. Pay attention. I chose to be living, and boy, did that wake up the system, huh? Anyway, it's. Definitely, Kevin. A little bit of background. I know, back to the DVD documentary you did. People do need to watch. They need to watch that. That'll really sum up in a nutshell, early on, and it's went so much further than that. And of course, you've been through the quagmire of nonsense. Your story about why don't you tell them what happened in England? How badly you scared them there.
Well, yeah, just on the first part, what you said, the documentary is Unrepentant. You can watch it at hiddennolonger.com. It's also been up around. We've had 1 million hits on it so far, literally. That's 5 years old now. We're working on a new documentary based on all this recent stuff. But most recently, when I was in England in the spring of 2011, I was held at Stansted Airport in an immigration prison for 12 hours and photographed, fingerprinted, the whole bit. I wouldn't cooperate with them, and so they eventually expelled me from the country without a reason given. I was about to address a rally at Trafalgar Square the next week on government involvement in child trafficking in England, implicating members of the royal family and the cabinet, and in London. This stuff began to come out now, the whole Jimmy Savile expose, this has hit the corporate media even. So, it's all out there bubbling up. And the other thing, of course, that's caused a lot of the shit to come our way is a year ago we began excavations where you were, Kate, at the Mohawk Institute, and the oldest residential school in Canada. With the permission of the elders, we went in there. We uncovered remains of bits of clothing, including buttons from school uniforms, bits of bone, and most of those bones turned out to be animal, but there were some there that two archaeologists said that they believed 95% were human remains. We didn't get the chance to go in there and get further remains because the thing was shut down because of all sorts of attacks and misinformation that started circulating, as they always do. But we're since then we've had 3 other requests to come to other Native communities, and those digs are going to carry forward once we have the right kind of logistical support. We're going to go in there and start to bring the remains of these children home for proper burial, and that's really been one of the purposes all along. Once that surfaces, those graves are opened, people can't deny it anymore, and it creates an amazing energy once the ground is opened. Those spirits that are released, it's kind of like when I did that exorcism in Rome in 2009, the tornado hits the city of Rome the next morning. Literally, it's the forces we're unleashing are massive by this, and I think that's what one of the things that people are scared about, but they shouldn't be that fear.
No.
I was
going to say, Kevin, and people listening, if you know any of Dan Winter's work, and I've been a fan of Dan Winter's for a while, what you've just described there is the act of compassion, and this is the shamanic power of literally directing tornadoes, and it's with the compassion that you pull that in. The tornadoes that's why they attack things like steel and things that contain pain. That's what that represents, and so no shock there. No shock there at all. I would be shocked if one didn't go. So there you go. Just a little.
Yeah, it was interesting. Yeah, that week after the tornado too, when we did that exorcism, the first news reports started in the European media about Ratzinger's personal involvement in covering up child abuse. So, these things all get shaken loose eventually.
Well, that's it. A tree that you're shaking, and we're all shaking trees, guys. This is the whole thing. All bad fruit is going to come falling off, and it's going to crash into the ground, where the new fruit can finally take over. And we're moving into a beautiful time. And I was really hoping Santo was going to be in on this, so I'm going to try to tag him while you guys are talking. But I was down after with you, and I walked those fields and the grounds there, and the energy's undeniable. I think the most moving thing for me were the elders that were over with us, and when we went around the back and all the bricks with all the kids writing on it. That was something. Never the energy. That's here's my challenge to those that doubt. Okay, we'll tell you what. Why don't you go in with full professional gear? This is how I throw it back at people. Okay, you're trying to prove that what we're saying isn't true. Okay, well, I want you to go in and prove us wrong. I want you to dig up all the ground there, and I want you to take bone samples, and I want you to prove that it's not children. And I want you to prove that the buttons aren't off children's uniforms. And I want you to prove that the pedophilia and the smallpox and the murder and the segregation of these children didn't happen. And if you can do that, good luck with it.
Well, I often say to them, that's exactly it, Kate. And I also say, well, the government admits that half the children never came back. Well, then where are the remains? You can't have 50,000 to 100,000 children die and they just kind of vanish somewhere. We know that a lot of them were incinerated in the school furnaces. We even have eyewitnesses seeing it happened. If you go to hiddenfromhistory.org, our original site, the Irene Fable is describing seeing a baby thrown in a furnace by a Catholic priest. So, I mean, they have to explain where these remains went, right? And they're not doing that. They're avoiding doing exactly what you said to do. Nobody will do that because they know it's true.
Well, that's
it's like why I've never been taken to court. They know it's true. They don't want the evidence out in the public record.
And there's that silence equates acquiescence aspect. And, and what Maria was saying earlier about when they're silent, they're basically saying, oh, okay, I have nothing to say. So, well, obviously you have nothing to say, so what I'm saying stands, regardless of a court of law. And this is where we're now maturing past their nonsense, because the whole system is nonsense. There's no question. There's no rhyme or reason to it. There never was meant to be. That's just the way things are. That's the way they wanted it. We're waking up to it, for the most part. That's what's happening, and it's coming down around their ears. It's cracking down, and it's not a moment too soon. These guys, bunch of butchers, murderers. Don't get me started.
They're becoming conscious of it. It's that simple.
Well, yeah, and what we're all doing, and this is all we're doing, guys. We're planting seeds. We're planting a new orchard, and we're not planting our trees with a dead child underneath it. That's the difference. So, and Kevin, what you're talking about bringing the kids home, yeah. Where did they go? If you're saying that half of them never came home, okay, well, where'd they go? Did they get a Winnebago and went on a tour somewhere, or, tell us what happened? And
well, where 10 to 20 million other Native people on this continent went, right?
Well, exactly, and let's go to Ireland for a second here. The great quote potato famine, which was a shite. I mean, at the time that it happened, there was over 18.5 million people in Ireland. Today, there's 4.5 million, maybe 5. That's a lot of people went missing. And there's a bigger reason as to why the Irish are being slaughtered for as long as they were. And everything ties together so neatly right now. I want to introduce you to the Sun Temple Trust.com people, Kevin. You will be amazed at what it is you're doing and what everyone else is doing and how this is all tying together in this beautiful little woven fabric. And it's loosely woven. It's perfect.
Yeah.
It's
what is the name of that again?
Oh, SunkeeTempleTrust.com. It's SunkeeTempleTrust.com. I've got the links and stuff. I'll make sure you get all the information. It's, hey, you know my job, son and daughter. Connect the dots.
Yep.
Everyone connected. So, but, Tony.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned the potato famine there as well, because one of the reasons that there was a potato famine was to get loads of the Irish to go over to New York and America so that they could build up the city, just for reference.
Yeah, the ones that weren't slaughtered and what have you. Well, look what we did last week. We were talking about none other than Jimmy Savile and the rest of the pedophile crew, and the news is just coming out now. Yesterday I got news there were now 450 people have come forward as victims of Jimmy Savile, and the likes of Gordon Brown, Edward Heath, Tony Blair, you name it. Lords in the House of Lords, it's crazy that what these guys are doing. But here's the thing: people are finally finding the strength to come forward. And Kevin, you've been at this since '92?
I first began to hear it 20 years ago when I got to Port Alberni to take up my church there. But it started 18 years ago for me, really. Those stories, listening to them, it's the same. Wherever I go in the world, it's the same agony, the same struggle, the same cover-up, everything. It's like one system operating,
Well, yeah. We're in a one-world government. I've been saying that for a while. That the illusion are the borders and them telling us that we're all different. Multiculturalism is probably one of the most divisive things I've ever seen implemented. And we have to understand that we are all from one source, one DNA strand, baby. And they've been telling us for a very long time now that we're all supposedly different, special, and my God's better than your God, I'll kill you to prove it mentality. So if you can, Kevin, I'd love for you to share some of the story, because a lot of the listeners that you're talking to tonight, this will be the first time they've ever heard you. So don't be afraid to bring back things that are that you might have covered maybe 1,000 times before. There's a lot of people here. I'd love you to talk about Bingo and William, and we got to keep what they were doing alive.
Definitely. I'll tell you first, the very first story I ever heard was the first week I was in Port Alberni, and I went out to do a funeral, a wedding at a guy's home, an old Native guy, and he told me that, I asked him why there weren't any Native people in any of the white churches, and he said, well, why would we go to your churches? You killed all our friends. And he talked about seeing his best friend beaten to death in front of him at the United Church Residential School in Port Alberni. Very first home I went into, I began to hear these stories. So I thought, well, if they're telling me, then surely the whites here know about it. I mean, it's common knowledge. As a matter of fact, in 1907, on the front page of the Ottawa Citizen, they had statistics showing half the kids were dying. I mean, Canadians have known about this for over a century, but they like to pretend they don't know. And it's the same when our own friends get killed. Like you mentioned Bingo and William. I've had 4 very close friends and activists in our circle in Vancouver killed by the police or killed in the hospital suddenly. And these people they weren't just anybody. They were eyewitnesses. William Coombs saw the Queen of England and Prince Philip take 10 children from the Kamloops Catholic School in October 1964, and they were never seen again. He was going to go public with that. He did go public on our radio program while I still had it in Vancouver Co-op Radio, and he talked about it, but we were going to bring him over to England, and he died very quickly in the hospital. They induced a coma in him and then pulled him off life support after less than 48 hours. Bingo Dawson was beaten to death by Vancouver police. They put down alcohol poisoning as cause of death. I mean, it goes on and on. The guy who witnessed the beating, Ricky Lavallee, he died of what looks like a lung hemorrhage in January of this year. I mean, you know, it's continual, and that's why I often say to people, if I was Native, I'd be long dead by now. But you know, I'm kept alive partly because I've had so much exposure, and I do have a lot of protection around me on many levels. But this is the kind of thing that happens, and that it's one of the reasons our witnesses are averse to coming forward, because they know this is the kind of thing they'll face.
Yeah, truth will always keep you safe. And regardless of what people think, this is why people have to lose the fear. When you stand in truth, and you know you're standing in truth, you have the divine providence around you. It's an automatic. It's only when you step outside of that circle of truth that you can start shaking in your boots. But here's the thing, at least with me, and I know the people that I'm talking with tonight, you know, a truth discovered is owned. It's mine, and I will not yield it. And you know the path I've walked, Kevin. I've been in the face of the Vatican and D.C. and all the rest of these goons pretty much from day one. And there was a lot of times, you know, I'm shaking like a leaf, pushing the button, you know, overcoming that, because I know, you know, for sending stuff, and because I know what I'm doing. I'm exposing, I'm standing in truth. And it's only when you get that realization, when you're, you know, working on something, investigating something, researching things, and putting the word out, you are literally, for the most part, if that's the one thing that like what you've discovered, and are exposing a very, very specific, but it's very broad-based thing, there's a lot of responsibility, and there's a whole lot of reason to keep standing in the truth, and that's what's kept all of us safe, because we will not yield from it. So, right. You know, universe is on your side. This is the thing. We do not deviate. That's why I say stand opposed. Once you do, you're golden. Lose the fear, get in gear. Stand up.
That's right.
You know?
For sure.
And I will say, and you're the one claim to fame on FM radio, because I was the last radio station on the mainstream CRT-controlled radio airways that was getting your story out. There was 3 of us left. There was you, one other station I think Andrew was with, and the one I was with. And then, well, tell them the story what happened with the radio station that you were working on out in Vancouver.
Oh, well, it's part of a bigger story of how the Canadian government has allowed corporate takeover of all remaining public radio. It's pretty much gone now, community radio, because of a law they passed where big corporate conglomerates could buy into community and campus radio stations. There's not many of them left because of that. I had a show on Vancouver Co-op Radio for almost 10 years, and in the space of a couple of months, they got rid of 5 of the most radical programmers, including me, on trumped-up charges. And it's because there was a group on the West Coast, the Pattison Media Group. They own a lot of the media out here, and they bought into Co-op Radio. Now they own it. So it's a corporate part of their empire now. But it poses as community radio. It's like, you know, what you find on so many levels, the corporate hands behind the image. And they've removed, people now say, well, co-op radio is just, there's nothing worth listening to anymore. They've completely sanitized everything. No more controversial programs. The stuff we were running, we had evidence of women who saw members of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police taking Native women out to a snuff film operation run by these Picton brothers, one of whom is in jail now. The Mounties were working, bringing Native women in to be killed, tortured, and killed on film. And, you know, as recently as 2008, you know, we have evidence that was going on. So, I mean, naturally they didn't want this stuff coming out, and it's one of the reasons that the, you know, kind of the misinformation around me has increased so much, because they're very worried about this stuff coming out. People know now what's really happening, I think. So it shows you it's part of the bigger agenda of controlling information and knowledge, you know.
Yeah, I would like to actually mention what you said earlier on, Kevin, about the story about the Queen and Prince, the Queen and her other half actually taking children out of that school. There's a video being released called The Zion King, and it's basically from the makers of Ring of Power, which was a fantastic documentary that was done all about what's really going on behind the scenes. And I can't remember this lady's name, but if people want to go and check that information out, they can go to www.helpfreetheearth.com. And again, the information is incredibly accurate and incredibly deep. It's all about what's going on behind the scenes of the bloodlines, the royal families, who's connected to what, and some of the stuff that they've been up to is absolutely incredible. It's incredible. It's awesome.
Yeah, and it has been all about controlling the bloodlines. That is the bottom line. This is one of the things that I've been talking a lot about with Sun at Sunky Temple Trust and the group that she's working with. And they have uncovered right down to the original mitochondrial DNA. And it goes, guess what? It goes right back to the tree of life, cannabis. Isn't that something? No wonder they want to kill the plant, the tree of life. What are the odds? Well, it is about controlling the bloodlines. If you think of it in terms of a grand scheme, Monsanto, my sainto, okay, go figure. Basically, we are genetically modified organisms. And that's why we have the different blood types. They've been, infused with different bloodlines from wherever. Won't get into that. That's another show. But what was discovered and is known is that the original bloodlines came in Ireland, and there was an interesting letter that was just received on remember the 5th of November, basically same day, and it came from the Prime Minister's office. So that's why I wanted another reason why I wanted you on the shows, Kevin, because this information that's coming out is very pertinent to what you're doing and why you are working not only with the Canadian, or I won't even call it Canadian. I hate the whole idea of the corporation, but with Turtle Island natives and those on Ireland.
Right.
Yeah. Because it all ties together.
It does. Yep.
In such an amazing way, and this will knock your socks off. I promise you, it will elevate you when you know how bang on you have been doing what you're doing. You're going to have an uber awakening. You're going to have epiphanies of epiphanies, I promise. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. You changed the world. We all did. So I need you to know that. It is stunning. And what was I going to say about? We were covering that last week, Tony, on the royals and the connections within. But do you have any more information on the Zion King?
Yeah, absolutely. It's basically it's the carry on from Ring of Power. Now, the Ring of Power I think was in about 26 different episodes, a lot of which they've managed to pull from YouTube through various things, all detailed in the first book that I did. But the Zion King is basically the next film following on from it, and it talks all about the crest of arms of the royal family and what's really going on within that crest, what that crest explains to you, who's behind it, the fact that this is pretty deep stuff, but the fact of what's actually embedded into that crest, and it's all about Luciferian doctrines and bringing in total world control, and it breaks it right the way down into
I need the stigma taken off Luciferian. Okay, I really need that stigma lifted. It means light. Okay, and what's happened is the nefarious, the ones that Peter likes to refer to, have taken everything that matters and have turned it into something symbolically evil, and that's why people have such a hard time finding truth, because they're so afraid of it, because they've been trained to be afraid of it. My standard rule is simple: whatever is made to look like dark, I look at it, put light on it, and there it is. Prime example. The Nazi swastika, and this is something that you can do. I just brought up some documents that I haven't looked at since right around the time they came out in 2004. I believe they came out in 2003. Anyway, the Emerald Liberation Front. The information contained in that is powerful. It'll connect a lot of dots for people. I'm getting the document out to everyone because I think everyone's ready for it now. Now it's not I'm just saying, okay, well, I want people to be able to read it and get it. It's beautiful stuff. Truth is, when you take the swastika the way the Nazis did it, it's rotating left, and you can and it's actually in this stuff that I'm talking about. You can take a drawing of it and put your hand on it. This is the kind of power these symbols have in this geometric universe, and it actually weakens you, and it's a docilation. That's why they had the swastika in reverse everywhere over Germany, and what happened? The people became docilated. It was an act of power. Now you take that swastika the way it's meant to be, the way the Hopi have it, the way it was done in India, the way it was done in the Mayans and all the rest of it, in the right-hand configuration, it increases your power in the symbolic geometrical. So this is why I say I don't like using words like Luciferian, because I know what Luciferian really is, and it's not evil. They've just made it that way.
It means light bringer, one who carries light.
Yes, absolutely. It's like I look at the word pedophile. I hate using that word because what does pedophile mean?
Friend of children.
Right. And let's talk about another one.
In Greek.
Yeah. What was the other one you used to use a lot about reintegration or repatriation or something?
Oh, reconciliation.
Reconciliation. Yeah. Look at. Why don't you tell everyone about? Yeah, the reconciliation. Tell them about that one.
Well, the word means it's from an old Roman practice. It means to resubordinate. When a tribal chieftain would rebel against Rome, he was reconciled to the emperor through a symbolic gesture. He would go on his knees and beg forgiveness before being ritually strangled in the Forum. And he was reconciled to the emperor through that act. In the Inquisition, they would reconcile heretics by seizing their property. It's a term the church uses to mean to resubordinate to an authority figure. So when you talk about healing and reconciliation in Canada, they're talking about legally resubordinating Indians. And everyone thinks it means, so everyone is, on better terms with one another. That's how we've been brainwashed to think of the term. But it's an elite term meaning how to get people in line again. And, it's very effective. It's like the word apology. An apologetic is a justification for one's actions.
Exactly.
So, I mean, it's these English terms that are used interchangeably depending on how they want.
Well, I love it. I love it.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is that you, Marcus?
Yeah, you know it.
I know it. Hey, listen, you got any questions for Evan?
Well, I got a comment. I'm just looking at the word dictionary. Your words are dictated to you, right?
Yep.
Brilliant.
Like spell. When you spell a word, you're under spell.
Yeah.
Don't get me
right?
Yeah, we actually, I spent a lot of time, that was my mission, to find how to break the spell of it, and it goes right back to the flower of life from creation itself. And as we uncovered, I went through the mill with the courts there. They didn't like the fact that I had them cornered using all their rules, so they thought kidnapping me was a good thing. Stupid. But anyway.
That's a story in itself, Kate.
That's
you went through.
Oh, yeah. But, hey, look what it gave me. It gave me wisdom. And guess what I get to do? I get my vengeance by telling everybody. Isn't that crazy? It's like we all got to be the oak tree, strong enough to bend in the strongest winds. And, when you take the words down, I've got them right down to the letter. Every letter is basically a sentence if you know how to look at it. So we dispelled it right at the flower of life creation, because every letter, symbol, number comes off the flower of creation, or as I call it, the flow of creation. So they had stopped the flow using these spells, getting us to be visual, because 90% of our learning is visual, and we stopped hearing the words. And I've done many shows on this, but the spell is broken, so speak freely, only with positive intent now, and that's where we had to get to. Your words mean a lot more now than they did, 6 months ago, because the control's gone. I had 7 trips into the courts And I got a lot of stuff. That's the thing. I told them, this is the only way I'll ever set foot in the court is to drag me in chains, and they did. And they couldn't get rid of me fast enough. I got lots of stuff on the record. I had a lot of fun. Oh, what are you going to do, throw me in jail or be in solitary?
Glad to have you back, Kate.
Yeah, well, I'm glad to be back, And I never really went away. I just, I had a holiday, and I learned a lot. I learned a lot about me, and I got to tell you, spending 24 hours a day with yourself is not an easy thing, especially me. Anyway, carry on.
Well, it's like the story of when Henry Thoreau was in prison for not paying taxes during the Mexican-American War, or not the Mexican-American, in the 1840s. And Emerson, the philosopher, came in and he was all shocked, and he said, "Henry, what are you doing in jail?" And Henry said, "Ralph, what are you doing out of jail?" Why are you not in jail, people?
Exactly.
Why are you not in jail?
That's the thing. Why aren't we? Is because it's when you get to a certain level of understanding. That's the divine.
We're on prison planet Earth.
Well, exactly. But here, I got to find this one quote. You guys talk for a sec, because there's something that I do want to share. I probably have it already posted here. I've got it in front of me. 1 second here. Where did I put it? It'll be in the Angels room, because I put it there. But where was it?
Oh, helicopter over the roof here, folks.
Yeah, that's normal.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Hi there.
Yeah. Isn't it fun? You know what that means? It means we're getting the truth and they're not liking it. You see? I told you guys, we're right. Here, I got to find it. It's in the off transmissions. Anybody wants this document, I'm getting it to Cynthia. I think she's tuned in, and she'll get it on my blog page, loveovermind.wordpress.com. It's called the Elf Transmissions, and this is something, it's 46 pages long, the one that I've got here. There's other parts to it, but what I really want people to do is, take the time to read this. Now, my word is very slow here, so I'm going to, here it is. Went a bit higher. This is important. This is such a beautiful truth once you see it. And I've just got to find it. And it ties in everything more than you can imagine. Again, see, here's the thing. I haven't read this probably in, probably three years or more. And I'm reading it now in a whole new unit of time and seeing what things have come into fruition. And, here it is. Well, here, I'll give you a little bit, because I think this is critical to what we're talking about in terms of, knowing thyself and standing up in the way that Kevin has, and Tony, Peter, and Maria, myself, and so many others. Okay? Santo, everybody. There's no savior to come, no rescue from the heavens, no outside authority that will liberate our human souls, whether that be through the classical religions, contemporary New Age ephemeral distractions, or through today's ever so much more sophisticated, subtle, and insidious methods of intellectual distraction, as we have witnessed in recent years. We must face ourselves to our root and our core until we are cleansed through such self-knowledge and through self-forgiveness, when, knowing ourselves to be fully empowered, co-creative beings in union with our own spark of divinity, we reclaim our sovereign authority, shed the skin of artificially overlaid illusion of our supposed state of separation and fragmentation, and walk fully embodied once again upon this sweet earth. When such a state is achieved, we shall one by one proceed forward to set this earth free. And once she and we are free, our inheritance shall be the stars. Self-knowledge is vital in this regard. Self-forgiveness indispensable. And there's one other part that I'll post it over to you through Skype. I normally put this stuff into the Skype rooms, but there's too many in the rooms now, too many parallel sends. I'm going to set up other rooms. All right, here's that swastika thing I was saying about. Try this for yourself. Draw 2 swastikas on a piece of paper. One will be spinning to the left, as the way the Nazis portrayed it, where the extended arms on the perimeter of the symbol appear to be flying behind in a left spin vortex. Then draw it the opposite way, where it is right spinning. Now put a finger on the one spinning left and have someone do a simple kinesiology muscle test by pushing against your arm as you resist. You will find that you cannot resist, and the pushing force will overtake the life force in your arm as you try to resist it. Do it with the right spinning symbol, and you will be strong and able to resist. So, that's the power of this. This is the knowledge.
Yeah, that was also the Pleiadian peace symbol, as well as the symbol to do with torsion physics, which is what the Hannibal craft were powered by, with Schrödinger and all that sort of thing.
Well, here's the truth coming out. Now, here's the little quote I was looking for. The key about the treaty, we are under treaty here in this prison, okay? You need to get this. It's been 26,000 years. And you will understand the power of what you're doing and how important the role you're playing, doing what you're doing. This is why I want people to do something. Be a part of the win here. The key about the treaty was that there are inviolable clauses that must be upheld. Primary of these is that at the close of the cycle, even if a single soul remembered the beginning and the basis of it all, that the overlord must relent and allow the completion of the age to fulfill itself in the reuniting of the souls. In that clause lay the liberation of all involved. Remember what they said in their doctrines, if but one shall awaken. It's all it's going to take, guys. 1 out of 7 billion, I think our odds are pretty good.
Yeah, we were sent here to depth, or to go into duality and learn, what this thing is all about, and then understand that we're part of a greater agenda, and we have to experience these things in order to go back to the light, and that's what the whole trip's all about.
Well, that's good.
Certainly.
Sorry, guys, I couldn't unmute there. I was going, keep talking, somebody talk. And no,
Pauses are good.
What's that?
Pauses are good.
Yeah, breathing room. Yeah, I got to say, and this is why what you're doing, Kevin, and what you have done, and what you've laid on the table, okay, as we call it, the altar of sacrifice. What you have laid down there is exactly what you're bringing to the table now. Truth, well and truly paid for. And that's all it is. And that's how I look at it. I mean, they ripped my life apart to a degree that most people, and same with you, same with Tony, same with many of us, Peter, everybody, Maria, we've all been through it. But what did we get at the end? We stand here with the truth paid for.
A new life.
Yeah.
That we received a new life. And the hard part is letting go of the old, realizing that we died. That's something I couldn't even admit to myself for a long time, that I had undergone a death. And there was no need for me to walk in the shadows of death anymore, right?
Exactly. Would you go back to before you know what you know?
No. Nothing would ever cause me to go back. Nothing.
Never. Because every day has a new life to it. And this is the one thing that people are missing. And this is why I mean, how many times am I on the air, Tony? Oh boy, there's not many days.
Probably about 7 or 8 times a week, if not more.
Oh yeah, I'm on every day, somewhere, somehow, with someone, and I can't get this out enough. I just cannot get enough of this out. I got to tell you, it does get exhausting, but it's okay because. Hey, listen tonight. Do I sound tired? No, because as soon as I get into this, and especially talking to you guys, the fire's light, and and I know that the dark ones are going down, and so you got to read it. As soon as you read it, everything that we've all been talking about for so long will suddenly come into view. I sent it over to Sun and Tracy over at Sankey Temple Trust, and it's going to connect a lot of dots for them as well. And there's a lot of things coming together, and you guys got to know that you've changed the world. And when you read this document, you're going to see just how big a role you played. It's amazing. It's amazing. So, but Kevin, I want you to share a bit more of what had went on in your life leading up to where you are now, and more importantly, the solutions that we're working on, or that you've been uncovering. I've been following of what's happening right now.
There's so much. It really depends even what aspect you talk about. But I know that I don't know. Does anyone have any questions about that? First, sometimes it's often easier to have the dialogue in response to a specific question.
Oh yeah, sorry about that. I was trying to mute. I think someone already asked her what's the next move here. But, yeah, well, you tell you what, over the last couple of weeks, if you can bring things into a synopsis, because I know a lot of things are starting to come to a head. Does that help?
Yeah, it does. Partly to get people to realize that when we say genocide in Canada, we're not just talking about Canada. It was an international system being planned. One of the things that we did at the Mush Hole, which is the name for the Mohawk Institution in Brantford, that's used, the natives call it the Mush Hole. One of the people who we brought was a local psychic, actually, from Vancouver Island, a woman who'd been used by the police in looking for missing people, and she often found them. She came, I'd given her a piece of the stone from the building, and she had to drop it right away. She said, I've never felt such pain in one place. And she went back with us, and she walked on the grounds. I think you met her. I won't say her name over the phone, but an older woman.
I did meet her.
Yeah, and she said the image she got, she sat down with me and Carol one night and shared some stuff and said she didn't know how to interpret what she saw, but it was a big room in the basement, below the basement. And she said there were men there in red robes, and they were doing all sorts, and this was going back into the early to mid-1800s. They started on this stuff. She saw files in Rome, in the Vatican Library, recording experiments they had been doing on young Native children at a young age, basically how to traumatize and control their minds, using a lot of pain and other methods. It was pioneering work in mind control. And other things that didn't have a clear, she couldn't really interpret them, but she said they were involving forces from various places in the world, very powerful people, things off planet she was referring to. She was getting all these images, and on the basis of how the Anglican Church reacted to when we started to bring this stuff out, they buried documents, they shredded documents. We know that from a woman called Leona Moses who used to work for the Anglican Church. She came and spoke to me after about what they had been finding in the Anglican Church archives. A document in 1870 with a signed document from the Crown of England and the New England Company that had set up the school, saying they were going to use the school to wipe out the Mohawks. These genocidal documents, these smoking guns, are there, sitting in London, Ontario now in the Anglican Diocese office there, and other things, bones. She said that she saw images from the Vatican Library of skulls and things being used ritually there. I mean, it went on and on, her story. So, I mean, obviously we're onto something much bigger than just Indian residential schools in Canada. This was a system still operative. And it's all about controlling the human mind, how to create a slave population, and using kids from all sorts of places to test that out. And these experiments are ongoing, right? And
yeah,
some of them yeah.
Go ahead, Tony.
Yeah. I was just going to say, yeah, totally. It's been going on for thousands and thousands of years, and it's still going on today. But the fact of the matter is, as I say, as you say, we're waking up to it now. So it's time to haul them into the right places and get it dealt with.
Oh, exactly. And when we're dealing in the 3D construct of where we are right now, Earth is the divine knowledge of this universe. And there's a major, major thing playing out here. I think we all know that. And we're not the only ones in the neighborhood. I think we already know that, too. So there's a lot at stake here. And this is why, at the end of this, if but one shall awaken, it all comes down to just one to save all. And if people are wondering why we're doing what we're doing, it's because inherently, whether we knew that consciously or not, it doesn't matter. We knew it intuitively, and this is why we've walked the roads we've walked. It's why we've pushed so hard. It's why we endured the things we have, because in any sort of sane world, we'd be considered nuts. But, happily, this place is insane, so we're actually normal. It's kind of cool,
One thing I wanted to add to that, too, was if people go to itccs.org, some of the last 2 or 3 postings have eyewitnesses talking about the Mush Hole. There's 2 I want to mention. A woman, Lorna McNaughton, who... She's blind now, but when she was a young girl, her brother told her how in 1943 there were a lot of kids being kept at the school, and they didn't have a lot of food to feed them, apparently, because of wartime rationing. She saw a bunch of these kids taken out by the Canadian Army to a big ditch near what's called the Glebe site. It's right outside Brantford, near a former Army base there. she said they shot all of them. They shot these Indian kids and threw them in the ground. They were still moving when they threw the dirt in on top of them. And that site, where they recovered the same kind of white buttons that they found that we unearthed just a year ago, right next to the school. And the other fellow, Del Riley, says that, he saw these things happening with his own eyes, the tortures going on. And, he said what he would love to see is if the Church of England was banned from operating in Canada. These are the steps we need to take. We're talking mass murder, for God's sake. And these people issue an apology and a bit of money, and everyone says, oh, good, things may have been resolved here. It's insane. And the eyewitnesses are still there who saw these mass killings. So next time you hear, somebody say, oh, yeah, it's all being resolved in Canada, the government admitted things. No, they put out a cover story, and we are going to be releasing, and that's why we're releasing all this now, to counter their lie, right?
Exactly. And this goes out to all the bought and paid for natives across around the world. And you know who you are. I'm not talking about the troops. I'm not talking about the ones that know how to stand and will stand. How do you stop an advancing native army? Well, easy. Throw them a government check.
Unfortunately.
Okay. Yeah. Hey, there's the truth, and I throw that out to people. And this is it. And again, I always like to pre-qualify that. I know of those that are standing true and cannot be bought and paid for, and I know those that are more than happy to roll over and have their belly rubbed with a government check to make sure they keep their brothers and sisters imprisoned in this paradigm of nonsense. That's the self-service of the greed of the one, and upon that individual, and that's where I love to put this out, on your shoulders, because you know of what's going on, you are as guilty as the ones in 1940s pulling the trigger, or the ones that today that are still pulling the triggers and murdering children. And until you make the stand, you might as well just go over there and start pulling the trigger yourself. And that applies to everyone. That's not just natives. That's everyone.
Right.
If you're not part of the solution, here's the gun. You might as well help them out.
Mark talks about this in detail. The people that are actually doing it mindlessly and just following orders are actually more responsible than the people who actually tell them to do it. Because it's the morons at the end of the gun that are pulling the trigger. It's not necessarily I just told them to do it. They were daft enough to do it. So, the karmic responsibility is on you guys on the end of the truncheon, and all your black suits and all that sort of crap.
Yeah, and don't get go ahead.
I just got a gentle reminder there that I actually have another interview at the bottom of the hour. I thought 90 minutes, if that's okay with you guys. I hope I didn't screw up your plan here.
No, we can carry the ball.
We have no problem talking, Kevin.
Well, I know you can.
You mentioned something at the top of the show before you go. You got like 9 minutes here. I got to let you go in a minute or so. If you want, I can book a show on Monday or Tuesday. I'll talk to Diatra, and we'll dedicate a 2-hour show for you to get what you were talking about.
I would love to. If we could arrange that, Kate. There's a lot more of the technical detail, the legal stuff that our sister raised earlier on the air here. Okay. And that stuff is really important to talk about. So if we could do that, I'd really appreciate that.
Okay. I'll tag you after the show tonight. You're going to be on the air somewhere else, but we'll set something up for Monday or Tuesday. It'll be the same time, and it'll be a dedicated show for you. It'll be a special edition outside the box. Okay?
Thank you, everybody. It's really good talking to you all and to be part of the team, and we'll talk to you all soon. And just remind everybody listening, itccs.org. Follow the work there.
Yep, I'll keep them well informed. Go spread the message. And, hey, we have your back because, we know you have ours.
Thank you, everybody.
Talk soon. I love you, dude.
Got it.
All right. Love to everybody. Bye for now.
Take care. Bye-bye. All right. There we go. Yeah, dear friend Kevin, the man's been through the mill, and you know how you get caught in words thinking, I'm glad to have been able to walk with him on some of this, but I really wish I'd never had to walk any of it with him, if you know what I'm saying.
Shouldn't have been a need for it.
Exactly. And I know, Peter, you have got a hard ball with a bat swinging, buddy, and just based on what you posted, I'm not going to say a word, but I know where you're playing, and it's beautiful.
Hey, it's all good. We just want to get their minds right.
You know what, bud? With the stuff that I think that I know you're going at, you're not just going to be planting seeds. You're going to be plowing furrows for whole paradise.
I'm not lying about the speed bumps, and we're not going to be the speed bumps.
Oh, I know. Anyway, this game is wrapping up in grand style. We have awakened. We know who we are. We know where we're from. And the time is very short. It's going to be a very interesting shift, I will tell you that.
Totally.
Yup.
And you know the best part? Has anyone ever seen the movie Ghost Ship?
No.
Ghost Ship?
Yeah.
No.
It was sort of it's one of the best shot movies I've ever seen. Ironically, it was a movie I had in my computer DVD drive the night they raided my house because I just finished watching it the night before. But what I would suggest anyone, and I've already started passing out the Elf Transmissions document. What I would suggest is watch the Ghost Ship movie alongside this, because Ghost Ship is exactly the story of what's happening here. It is about harvesting souls, and the good news is, well, we win. So I don't know.
Sounds good to me.
It'd be a lot easier playing a game knowing you've won. So I'm just telling everyone, you've won. Get over it. So, Marcus, let's hear from you, buddy. We got ourselves a little over half an hour here. Let's hear what's going on with you.
Oh, Marcus. Yeah, I haven't heard from Marcus for a while. I shut the door on him. He's not happy with me.
Oh no, it's a different Marcus. You
got me here still.
Yeah, it's an up north.
This is great. I'm glad I was able to join you. Just thinking about what you said there in the movie, and I actually have watched a lot of Michael Tessarian stuff lately. I don't know if you follow him at all.
Another Belfast kid? Absolutely.
Yeah, and some of the stuff that he has to say, just like evil has the seed of its own destruction within it. That rings true, right?
Well, by definition, it must destroy itself.
Yeah.
And we're just kind of helping it along. Peter's brought along a bulldozer, I see.
I got my sledge, so we're good.
Okay, well, cool. Good. Let's go out and find some smart meters.
Amen, brother. Brother?
Who are you calling brother?
Yeah, it's ironic they call them smart meters, but they just make people dumber because they attack the central nervous system and everything else. I mean, who the hell thought up the word smart meter? Like I say, everything they say, just go opposite of it, and then you get your analogy all tied in a nice little knot.
Really?
Exactly. That's why I want
stupid meters. That's what they are. They're stupid meters. They're the stupidest shit they ever invented.
That's why
they put on the goal.
I want to take the charge off the word Lucifer. They are the furthest from Luciferian that you can imagine. That's why they claimed it. That's why they made the pentagram evil, because it is the pure symbol that it is. It's the 5-pointed transit of Venus every 8 years. There's a lot to this that people don't see. This is why I love hanging out with you, Tony, and Peter, and Santa, and the information that comes to the table. It's like it's a daily short. Who's got the train this time?
I do. Train. Hey, I've been playing that. I've given that song some airtime the last couple of days. So hey, don't tell me I'm not on the page.
Oh, you are. We all trains. We got to figure that out.
All these damn trains, Camp FEMA trains.
Yeah. Oh well. Enjoy. I hope they enjoy the ride.
Yeah, right. I ain't going.
Only the dead go there.
Yep.
Don't worry. We'll have it solved. To be very appreciative. It's been a fascinating walk with Kevin, and I will say, being down at Kanata and the residential school, the Mohawk Residential School, I've had some interesting experiences in my life, and been in some pretty being from Ireland, it's a little bit of history there, and walking in some areas and stuff and feeling the energies, and I got to tell you, the sense of, hey, anyone that gets into the Brantford area, I tell you, just take a walk around. It turned my stomach just to walk in the building, and knowing, like, if you, let's just say if you're the main drive and you park, as soon as you get out and you're walking towards the main building, if you look to the right, there's a big tree. I can't remember. It might be an oak. Anyway, one of the ladies that I was walking with Kevin, Sue was there as well. Pointed over the tree and she remembered seeing the bodies of a couple of children hanging from it. So this is just to give you an idea of the stuff that went on. And Kevin was talking about the psychic lady. One of the things that she also said, when you look at the top of the building, there's a dome on the top of it, and that's where she saw the ritualistic martyrs of children, again with the red robes. And there was talk of screams that used to come out of it from the ladies over there as well. So, anyone that wants to, try to discredit Kevin, the only thing I would say is, one, you're soulless. Two, you're blind. You're caught up in a game you have no idea the depth of, unless you're one of the nefarious ones, at which point, well, you're done anyway. So sorry about your luck. But, it's about going out and seeing it for yourself. It's about going out and experiencing it. And until you actually do, you don't really know. And as much as I'm grateful for having done so, there's many parts of me that say I wish I never had. But with that, I come back with what I know in my own, for myself, my own canvas painting here. I know that I can paint some truth on it, and it's pure. Might not be the prettiest truth, but it's truth nonetheless. So.
It's like you say, though, you've got to look at something, otherwise you can never understand what it is. Even if it's not necessarily haven't even been there, but at least if you've done some research and looked at the movie. I mean, I saw that film quite a while ago, and I've come across it several times since, but I understand. I've looked at the information and then I've done some research on the subject, and I've followed Kevin anyway, so I understood what he's doing, why he's doing it, how he's doing it, where it comes from, or his story, and followed that. But for anybody obviously that hasn't, they wouldn't have a clue, and that's the point. Looking into it.
Well, it is, and if you look at the scandals going on in the UK right now with these pedophiles and just getting exposed for what they were. I mean, here you have one of the main anchors of the BBC, Jimmy Savile, and better yet, the Queen even knighted this chick. Okay, speak ill of the dead. Well, I'm sorry, the guy was never really alive doing what he was doing. So, sorry, body or no body, that's still the intended being, right? But I've got to dig up that article again. I've got so much on my computer with regards to the listing out of all these pedophiles and the different connections that they have, and what's going to be exposed in the coming days and weeks. And never mind that, what Kevin is doing is he's leaving them very very little wiggle room in the legal sense, but he's leaving them no wiggle room in the public eye sense, and that's what we've been talking about. It's about making these beings accountable to themselves via public shame,
laying it bare.
Well, yeah, and I was talking about it last night with a friend here, and first comment from him was, and the shame these kids are going to feel. And I said, and that's the problem, you see, because that's exactly the opposite of what the kids should feel. Hey, I talk about what happened to me because I have no shame in it. It's not like I went out and punched somebody, and this is society has done this, has made it shame. Well, I'll give you the example from personal experience. Whenever I confronted things with my dad, we went down to the Sea Cadets, and I will say for everyone listening, and in the UK, go down and say hi to the Belfast Eagles Sea Cadets. That's where all this shit went down. Chief Petty Officer Herbert Dusty Miller, can't remember the Commodore's name, but I'll look it up, and I'll get his name out there too, because he's the one that had the tidy broom with the mat, and he swept it under it. And here's the thing: even when I went in to talk about it, this Commodore was nothing but a nasty prick with me, because I know he'd probably dealt with it before, and I think he was just more pissed off that he had to deal with it again. He didn't care about what was happening to those under his care. Sorry, I got my uniform on, I got my Commodore stripes, I'm retired with my paycheck, screw you. And yeah, there was that whole attitude of trying to belittle me, and calling me a liar, and that's standard fare for these guys. I'm not saying that the Commodore was involved, but the fact is he knew what the hell was going on, and the fact is, and you can call up Detective Brian Bell of the Belfast City Police. He with the Child Crimes Investigations Unit, been doing the job for, I think he said 28 years, whatever. And I'm the one tipping my hat at him. I only had to deal with it for 9 months. I can't imagine dealing with that shit for 28 years. So I bowed to him, So you want to verify any of this stuff? By all means, I've done my homework. I'm kind of known for doing that. That's probably one of the reasons why the system hates me, because I do my homework and I do make the effort. And that's all I'm asking people to do. Make the effort. If you see something going wrong and you don't do anything to stop it, you're guilty. If you see a corrupt cop, you don't report it, you're guilty. You're as bad as the cop. And that's because what? You're afraid? Afraid of what? Well, I might get in trouble. Yeah, well, okay, that's right. I'm glad you think that you're more important than somebody else, where they're, potentially getting, beaten up or raped or whatever. I shared the story with you guys about my one friend Mike, who they have in jail for nothing. Actually, it's kind of, well, of course, he's a truther too, right? But anyway, they moved him from London, Ontario, to Penetanguishene. And just before he left yesterday, he witnessed 3 guards beating up a guy that apparently had stolen money from the Poppies, one of those corporate where they sell the flower of death thing. That the money doesn't go to the veterans; it goes to the judge coffers, kind of thing. Anyway. So the guy was probably starving, and he decided to steal one of the boxes. And these 2 or 3 guards beat the living shit out of him. This is your justice system, Believe me, I've seen this shit firsthand. Okay, albeit through a very, very narrow window, but the energies, I got to tell you, there's no mistaking it. You should try hanging out beside a guy for a couple of days, that it's just murdered a 12-year-old and feel those energies. That's not happy stuff. You're fighting for your very mental existence around that kind of energy. But I'm still here. Still kicking ass.
So,
I don't plan on stopping. I don't plan on anything. Actually, I just do. That's the difference. It's, again, we all have to do something. If you know a pedophile, if someone is a pedophile, someone in your family or whatever, get a photograph and put it up on a telephone pole. Start shaming these assholes. Male or female, I don't care. You start shaming them. This is where they have to confront themselves. And what you're doing is an act of love, because you're making them confront themselves. Until then, they don't think they're doing anything wrong.
Totally.
That's why kids get murdered, guys. We just stand back. Yeah. What if it was your kid? I mean, Kevin said it perfectly. Talking to the cops. What if it was your kid that this happened to? And we've all said the same thing. Would you let it? Well, sorry, but those are my kids. I have to be part of the family of mankind. I don't kind of segregate myself away with a little, small unit of everything. I'd rather be part of everything. It makes more sense to me. You learn more. But anyway, enough of me talking. I didn't actually think I'd be talking this much tonight, so.
Well, we love you guys.
Yeah, and I love you.
Thanks.
Yeah, it's all.
Go ahead.
Yeah, it's on your mind, Marcus. No, okay, I'm on the air all the time, buddy. It's the first time you showed up here, so take advantage.
Yeah.
You're hanging out with the crazies. Come on.
What's new?
Oh, fuck all. Really, I'm just happy to be here. Thinking about what you said, though, obviously, there are probably people that wouldn't bring this stuff up to you because they're not comfortable saying it, but you never know who around you has dealt with this stuff before. Your family, your friends, whoever. So you got to be careful what you say, and you got to defend those people that can't defend themselves.
Well, that's exactly it. And I said that to one of the bailiffs at the Guelph courthouse. One of the times I was there, looking at me. I think it was my fourth or fifth time in. Anyway, he's looking at me. Well, what are you doing? And it's just, you know, because they got to know me, and it's like, why are you here?
Yeah, some of those guys are good people, but then they're always the ones that are sick.
Well, by the end, I got to tell you, Marcus, by the end of this whole ordeal, the two guys I've been dealing with, the one guy, when they both came up to me, I said, listen, they go, Kate, whatever you need to do, you are not supposed to be here. Get the fuck out. And whenever I worked, what I had to do with the one pretender, who was, by the way, speaking very well and speaking exactly the way, I didn't even tell him what to say. He said exactly what he had to. My honor was intact, and he knew that I wasn't guilty. Of course I wasn't guilty, for Christ's sake. But anyway, I'm like, it's just when I'm leaving there, both these guys came over and shook my hand, and they said, you know, we don't want to see you again. We love you. Well, I said, well, I can't promise that. Sorry. Truth has that effect with me. You know, but you're right, Marcus. There are good guys in there. And the one guy I looked at, I said, you know, I'm standing here today because I know the fraud the banks are pulling. I know the fraud that's going on within your, you know, the police and within the city here and all the rest of it. And I have a voice, and I can speak, and I have an obligation because I can for people like you or others that can't or won't. And his face just dropped, and he looked at me, and he got it. The seed was planted. And that's all I was doing, was planting seeds. And I even said it. I brought apple seeds out with me. I literally smuggled 2 apple trees in, okay?
Yeah, brilliant.
They're growing right now.
I got stopped and ticketed for drinking in public a couple months back. And Officer Tang there got a good little lecture from me about the New World Order. So
there you go.
Yeah. I do what I can every way I can, and my buddy is all like, oh, no, don't do it. But whatever, man. What's he going to do? Fuck it. I've already been to jail.
Yeah. I mean, and that's what it has to get down to with everyone. And Dean said it, about 3 weeks ago, guys, when Dean was on, Dean Clifford, he said it, you know, it's not like we're in the dark ages here. It's not like we're getting burned at the stake and hung and drawn and quartered and all the rest of it. You might end up spending a couple of days or a month in jail. Who cares? You know, think about it. And he's right. He's absolutely right. You know, and he's speaking from experience, and so am I. You know, it's not a big deal. And the thing is, if you don't stand and shut off your permanent freedom for maybe a day or two or a month or whatever, then it will be a permanent prison you're in. So make your choice. I chose freedom.
It's going to be that, I mean, if people don't stand up and people, we've said this before, Kate, you know where I'm coming from. If somebody's on the rail track and there's a train coming, the deaf and the dumb, and they can't hear it, they're going to get hit by the train. You know it's going to happen. It's your responsibility to stand up and go, hey guys, you've got to look at this, because otherwise it's going to run you over, you know, and point to the flipping train to make it so bloody obvious. They understand shit's coming down the road, and they're going to get plastered in it unless they step out of the way and then do something about it. And it's at that point we build our future. It's up to us to make the future that we really want to experience, and not be completely microchipped and shot up with all this drugs and all the rest of it, and be complete slaves in poverty at that. Because that's where we're going to end up unless we stand up and say something about it.
Exactly. I'd rather be, you know, called a jerk for pushing someone too hard out of the way of a train than called an accomplice to murder by laughing at them while they're standing there as it hits them. You know, there's your choice.
Totally
you know, and something else too, and I've been telling people this. You can go out and try to tell anyone you want, and all you're going to do is create aggravation for yourself. The only thing you can do is to walk your talk. And when people see the light, they'll feel the energy shifts. This is electromagnetism. This is how the universe works. As soon as you become the light, the moths start to gather. And if they get close enough, their wings will get lit up with your fire, and they'll go off and be a light of their own. And that's what I'm talking about when I'm saying planting seeds. Don't try to convert anybody. Leave that up to the Jehovah's, okay? Leave that up to those who want to go around spreading bullshit and lies door to door every day. That's their job. Our job is to be a light of truth, and they'll come to you. They come in the thousands to the radio shows. You know, everyone listening right now. And thereupon those that are tuned in right now, you have the obligation of the truth. Because once we've given it to you, as we've discovered it, of course, weigh it up and feel it for yourself. Take your own canvas and decide for yourself. But truth will always resonate. Once that truth is realized, it belongs to you. Now you have the obligation to stand in it or not. And that's the only choice you have. To stand in truth or to stand in lies. Pick one or the other.
Yep.
I'm going to love you either way. But I will say this. I would rather you stood in the truth because I don't want to lose you.
Yep.
But again, your choice. Call it.
Yeah, we need everybody to step up to the plate, as Peter says.
Yeah, Peter, you still there or what?
Yeah, I'm just the Quaalude kicked in.
Oh, there you go.
Share with me?
I thought I was taking a nap.
I thought you were too. Anyway, what are your thoughts, Peter?
I don't have any thoughts. I've been cloned, and I have no original thoughts in my head left anymore. I'm yucking tonight. It's Friday. I'm in the low profile zone. I might have to do a little corona therapy a little later, so who the hell knows?
Oh, you went off in a real good tear at the start, man. I was wondering, where'd Peter go? Holy shit, he was on a roll. You're on fire.
Well, I didn't want to go sideways on our brother Kevin. I just wanted him. He'll get the memo when it all comes out.
Yeah, and I'm so glad that Kevin made it tonight. And again, I put a show together where he can get the technical details of what he needs to speak of out. And again, this is when we are doing this, we are changing the world. We are putting the energy out, and it is encompassing many, and it's very important. And I know, based on what Kevin has been doing and will continue to do, is monumental.
Mm-hmm.
Same with you guys. You guys have been monumental too. Everyone that is doing even as much as boxing a signature on a banknote is doing something monumental. You've changed your mind. That's where it begins. Just change your mind. Have you had enough? Yes. Okay, start boxing, and that gets you into the baby step mode. And then you're going to find something else to do. You're going to find something bigger and something better. You're going to say, well, you know what? Screw IRS, screw CR, screw all these guys. I'm not going to I'm not paying for the wars anymore. I'm actually going to be a living being for a change and not their dead fiction. And, it's like that. I've said this before many times. That City of London state lawyer that said to me very clearly, and the only thing he said was this: here, it's all about contract.
Yep, absolutely.
Right? So, hey, we cut the ethereal deal here. So, time for us to, belly up and ante up. And I'm all in. I've got every card, everything I've got is on the table. And it's time to, hey, listen, we're in the last hand now. What do they call it? Down the river? Yeah.
It's important to stay positive.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's all about the energy. Don't let their paradigm shift screw with yours. We just got to stay focused, folks. We moving beyond the pale here.
Well beyond.
Yep.
Creating our own future, and that's what it's all about. We need to understand what's behind us and then turn around and say, right, well, we're going to create this one. Bang. Get it done.
Stay positive and don't give up.
Yeah.
Absolutely. This is it. Crossno, Pete.
Sorry about that. Sorry, I had my computer plugged in, so I had muted there, and I'm going, talk! You guys got to talk! So, yeah, what is new, Peter? What do you got? I know you had a little visit with the dentist, and that's all worked out well, and...
The doctor, he was actually pretty good. It wasn't, thank God, because I didn't think that little 5'2" blonde thing was going to be able to crawl up on my chest and pull my two teeth out. So they got a brood on me, and he popped them out without too much effort and too much ease. Didn't cause me too much trauma. Yeah, I was in the pain a little bit yesterday afternoon, but I'm functional now, and the swelling's gone, and I can run my mouth again.
Uh-oh.
Peter's all needed.
It sucks when I'm impeded on my talking capabilities. That really puts a damper on things.
Yeah, that's. Yeah, I hear you. Can you hear me? Okay.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Yeah, a quiet Peter is not a normal Peter. I'm sorry, that just doesn't cut for me.
That is correct. That is correct. Yeah, I'm out of sorts if I'm quiet. Then I'm comfortably medicated.
Exactly. So lots of interesting stuff going on. Just a quick update with regards to SunkyTempleTrust.com. We were talking about Obama. He's going to be taking off to Myanmar tomorrow. There was basically an acknowledgement letter came out from the Prime Minister of Ireland's office to the Sunky Temple Trust in acknowledgement of some paperwork that was sent, and effectively the vibe and what I've heard from this so far from it was they were expecting this information at some point. And the date was hand drawn in, and it was hand signed. It wasn't stamped. So right from the office. So there's some neat stuff coming up, and we'll uncover it as it uncovers itself here. But interesting that it was on the 5th of November. Nothing special about that day at all. Anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And keep in mind all sorts of happy thoughts as we come up to November 22nd, which is 6 days away. They like to do ritualistic things on the 22nd, so we're just going to decide now that, anything that you try to pull, we'll already know is ritualistic, so don't be pulling anything anymore because your game's over, like murdering Kennedy and stuff like that. It's Thanksgiving in the U.S. On that weekend, I believe, or I guess, would it be a weekend? It'll be the end of next week anyway, right? But... just lots of neat stuff coming up, guys. I wish there was more I could share with you right now in detail. But for those that are interested, and I hope that you are, I'm going to get this document over to Cynthia. She can get it up on the blog page, loveovermind.wordpress.com, the ELF transmissions, and have a read of history from a very wonderful collective perspective. And you will see many layers of things in it from everything you've heard from Tony, myself, Peter, Santo, everyone. It ties together very neatly into this. So.
Yep.
But anyway, we got about 9 minutes left here. So Pete, Tony, you guys want to get your thoughts in, and then we can wrap up Cosmic Blueprints.
Yeah.
All right, Tony, I'm waiting on you, bro.
Okay, fine. No, I'm just, like I say, I mean, we've had lots of different people in tonight with lots of different information from Kevin, Peter, Kate, etc. All of it good stuff. It's all about getting the information out there. It doesn't really matter who's doing the talking as long as the information comes out. And that's the point. So that's what it's about.
Yep. I got a bigger soapbox on Sunday. I'll be with Dr. Carly sharing the love, so that ought to be an interesting 2-hour 4 to 6 with Dr. Carly. I think she says both the Republic Broadcasting Network's supposed to ring me in, and that'll be a little bit of bigger soapbox. Matter of fact, I'm fixing to try and open that door on a different level as well. I'd like to get Ann Bancroft in the loop. I love what she's putting out. She gets it. She just needs a little direction of flow as far as what's really under the covers. I mean, she's uncovered a plethora of good stuff as far as the banking scam, but I actually sent her an email a couple of days ago to enlighten her about our bonfires we're going to be holding.
Exactly.
Because I'm sure she's. I know she knows about. I know she has to be familiar with hypothecation and bonds and stuff like that. So I'm sure she is probably not aware of what really goes on in the court system and how that system really works. So that's if I can get her to open the door to me, it'd be double in trouble because I think she's a female Peter.
There you go.
I mean, you wind her up and let her the hell go with that tie on and everything. I mean, get the hell out of the way. I mean, she was bringing it.
Yeah, I hear you.
That was beautiful.
Yeah. What was I going to say there? I just got a link handed to me. As I do, I always do things in the now. It's thank you, Ed. Appreciate you sending this over. Just gave me the link to keshefoundation.org. So there's definitely a site that people need to get onto for the new energies and the information. A lot of the information has been released now to various governments and peoples around the world. I do believe there's a couple of things that he's holding back, Tony, for now.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's like
what's he waiting for? What's he waiting for? What's he waiting for? An invitation? I mean, come on, it ain't no holding back now. Sterling Allen covers some really, really good stuff as well. That's another site that I go to, and some of it's got pull, some of it doesn't. But he opens the door to the alternative side of energy as well. And there is an organization out there that's working on the creation of something where it won't be patented; it'll be open source. Open source, they can't steal. So I like that concept.
Yeah, I'm actually working with some of the guys on that to a point. So, but yeah, it's all to do with rodent physics and those sort of things. But yeah, some interesting stuff. But one of the reasons that Meehan's holding back the key, that I called it, is because with great technology there comes great responsibility, and therefore you have to make sure that the right keys are in the right hands, used for the right reasons. And that's all.
Yeah, it's not always a good thing to hand a 5-year-old a flamethrower or a bucket of gas and matches, just to see what happens. Just generally doesn't end well. Little training.
Kate always says, well, with us Navy guys, give it to us. We know how to blow shit up. We've had practice. They teach us how to blow stuff up, make it go boom,
No, it's the problem.
And they pay us for the luxury. You got to love it. I used some Laws rockets when I was with them Jarheads. Got to blow up some nice Jeeps and stuff,
Very good. No, that's awesome.
And I was a non-combatant. I mean, what the hell, Hey, they even gave me an M16. I said, yeah, Doc ain't ducking, man. Doc's shooting.
Perfect. No, perfect.
I get lead poisoning real easy. I'm allergic to lead,
Yeah.
Not too bad, are they?
Yeah, high velocity lead poisoning. Yeah, not a very good thing.
Right.
Well, you know that in every crime that a cop shows up, there is always a gun, right?
Can you say throwdown?
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm talking they're the ones walking into every situation armed. That's what makes it a dangerous situation.
Yeah,
so,
right.
Hey, so I'm just turning the tables here. But I do want to hand out a big thank you again to Kevin Annett for showing up tonight, and I'm going to put together a show. So stay tuned. Monday or Tuesday, I'll talk to Deatra. Great big thank you to Deatra Freedom Reigns for giving us the helm to sail this wonderful ship of truth and open doors to all walks of life where all are welcome. Just ask Marcus. We're not inviting here at all, huh?
No, you got that.
It's we're snobs. We don't want anybody. That doesn't whatever. You know what I mean? Sarcasm. But it's absolutely. This is everyone's welcome at our table. This is what I'm getting at, and I have to say thank you to
open mind.
Exactly, and a big thank you to Maria for the information that she brought forth tonight. I was discussing with her a little bit of perfected mortgages last night, and some interesting information you may want to touch base with her on, Peter, especially given Maria's background and some of the stuff that she's been uncovering recently with the brand new roadmap, looking at it from a brand new perspective. And people are waking up. Like I was saying, I think it might have been the last show or so. I don't know. I talk about this stuff all the time, but not this in particular, but with Patrice and what she's done, going out and digging up some mortgage information. And the basic understanding is any house with a mortgage, no one's living there. It's abandoned because a dead person signed a death pledge. That's why it's called a mortgage, a death pledge. So any house that has a mortgage on it is abandoned property. So you may want to go down to your land claim office as a living being and clear up that deed warranty issue that, a little bit of excise or property or whatever the hell tax they call it needs to be cleared up. And then you just kind of go and collect because you've made your claim as a living being. That's where the truth is vested back in you. That's when you know you're awake, when you're alive. It's kind of a cool thing. But anyway, Peter, your website real quick?
Yeah, privatif.me, privatif.me. Go and enjoy, folks. A plethora of brain-blasting information to get your paradigm right.
You got that right. Tony.
Awesome. Yeah. Radio show based on the book, Blueprints of Cosmic Consciousness, and it's awakeconsciousawareness.com. It's free to download. It's interactive. If we haven't managed to get you started, that book certainly will.
Exactly. And you can also get that book on loveovermind.wordpress.com. And I believe you can get it on Santo's site. You can see Santo Bonacci's work at Mr. Theology or Mr. Astrotheology or on YouTube. And don't forget to get over to Kevin Annett's sites. That's www.itccs.org is the main site, and you can also go to hiddenfromhistory.com for the background information and the tons and tons of information, videos and whatnot there as well. So stay tuned. We'll have Kevin on probably Monday or Tuesday. And until then, I just wanted to thank everyone for showing up tonight and just being the light and love that you are. Love you.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys.
All right.
Thanks,
no worries. Thank you. And we'll catch you on the next episode. Oh, tomorrow night, 7 to 9, Over the Rainbow Outside the Box. Yeah, I forgot. Love you all.
All right.
Take care. All right.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Good night.